The UK's asylum backlog has been cleared, says the Prime Minister. But critics disagree, and so do I. We're going to read into this from the BBC, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is REGANELITE here. An article from the BBC with the headline that the UK asylum backlog has been cleared, says the Prime Minister. But critics disagree, as do I, guys. The government says it has cleared the asylum backlog, but critics have accused it of manipulating the figures, and they have manipulated the figures, guys. Let's clear a couple of things. So obviously this is a BBC article. I know many people don't agree, don't trust the BBC and some of their because of who they are, and I get that. But I just think this headline and what we're about to read to really needs to hammer and tong the point here that. To say that Rishi Sunak has done it has really knocked the backlog and cleared it. It's just absolute nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. And I find it quite a bit of a joke, really, for him to be saying that in the new year, when basically throughout the whole year we've seen an increase in the amount of immigrants and boat crossings coming. Now, during the festive period, the number of boat crossing really reduced or stopped it completely for a good while, but that wasn't because they stopped the boats, as James Cleverly liked to think it was. It was actually because of the weather. When you have strong winds and it's quite dangerous, to go out on a boat as a crossover that could potentially kill you. It's not really worth it, dying when you're almost certain to do it. I mean, even when it's calm, there's never 100% certainty you'll get to the UK, but. This idea that they cleared the asylum backlog is absolute nonsense. And there's a couple of other things as well that I want to make a point as well with this backlog before we read into it as well. So one of the things that they were doing last year was they were basically releasing just people, letting people out or letting people disappear into the unknown in the UK without actually chasing them up or finding them. A lot of people simply who came to the UK and their asylum application was processed in wherever they were, in hotel, barge or whatever. What was happening was they weren't following up on them. A lot of cases where the government, the Home Office, was just not following up on them. And there was also stories about asylum seekers being dumped in certain places, like at Victoria Station, and left to fend for themselves, and basically essentially telling charities and councils, you guys sort them out. When the Home Office, when they hit back and basically say, no, this is your responsibility. You're the Home Office. You need to deal with it. A lot of these backlog clearances, they will no doubt have played with the numbers to make you believe that they've cleared a lot of it. There will be a lot of people who basically just disappeared and gone off the network, off the eyes. Basically, don't be surprised if there's a significant number of people in the UK who are not on the system whatsoever. Should not be surprised whatsoever. And the thing is that the numbers are going to go back up again. It's been quiet now and it's dropped a little bit, but don't be surprised if it goes back up again, guys. So the government says it has cleared the asylum backlog, but critics have accused it of manipulating the figures. Tens of thousands of migrants have been staying in hotels while they await a decision on their refugee status claim. One of Rishi Sunak's key pledges was to process 92,000 legally applicants by the end of 2023. The Home Secretary said every single one of those applicants, anyone who applied before the 28th of June 2022, has been processed. This is due to a tenfold increase at the pace in which we completed the processing, James Cleverly has said. The government enhanced the asylum system by adding more people, refining processes and implementing real accountability, Mr Cleverly said. Speaking on the BBC Radio 4 Today programme, Mr Cleverly admitted there are small numbers of outstanding cases where there are complications, including security concerns around the asylum seekers. But Labour said the government is making false claims about hitting the targets. Of course they are. The Home Office said more than 1,000 112,000 asylum cases were processed by officials last year, exceeding the PM's commitment. It said in 1 in 4 period from the 20th of November to the 17th of December 2023, there were 20,481 initial asylum decisions made, with more than a number of asylum decisions made in the whole of 2021. The Prime Minister said the department's efforts were saving the taxpayers millions of pounds in expensive hotel costs, including strains on public services, and ensuring the most vulnerable received the right support. But critics, including some Tory MPs, dispute these claims and suggest that Downing Street had massaged in the statistics. Legacy cases referred to people in the asylum system on the 20th of June 2022, the day when the new asylum rule came into force. All of those cases have been reviewed, but not all have been resolved. 4,500 have been reclassified as complex. The Home Office says that such cases typically involve asylum seekers presenting as children. Age verification, serious medical issues, or checks on suspected convictions can be among those issues. Yes, this is the thing as well, is that some people have claimed to be child-minded, or they're not sure about their age, or they claim to have mental issues, or there's all sorts of reasons why some have not been some decisions have taken longer than others, and when they don't have any ID or any ID whatsoever on them, it's kind of hard for them to identify that, so it takes a bit longer for them to be processed. Around 100,000 people whose applicants were made after June 2022 are still in the system, and many of them remain in hotels. Stephen Kinnock, Labour's shadow immigration minister, said the government's claims were false and that the asylum backlog had rocketed under the Tories. No slicing or renaming the figures can disguise that fact, he said. It's also important to point out, guys, that one of the other factors in the increase of migrant numbers is also because of the war in Ukraine. There will also be the war in those fleeing what's happening in Gaza. Some Palestinians will come to the UK as well. That will also be a factor, as well as those who can claim asylum in Hong Kong as well. So there's these factors to take into account as well. So it's important to remind yourselves of that. Over 4,000 claims are unresolved, and the distributing 17,000 asylum seekers have simply been withdrawn by the Tories from this legacy backlog, which ministers seemingly have no idea where they are or whether they have reapplied or disappeared into the underground economy. In January last year, the PM outlined 5 key priorities for the year. Stopping boats bringing people across the English Channel was one of them. The figures released on Monday said the number of migrants crossing the Channel have fallen year on year for the first time since the records began, and provisional annual total for the 29,437 is 36% lower than the record 45,000 crossing for the whole of 2022. The government has also said that it had returned more than 24,000 people who had no right to work in the UK, including more than 5,500 Albanians. Why is this about Albanians? Can we stop pointing out the Albanians all the time? Crying out loud. Increased enforcement visits 10,509 in the first 9 months compared to 6,855 in the same period in 2022. And they have arrested 246 people smugglers. Well, most of those smugglers are not in the UK; they're on the other side, aren't they? They're here in the. They're not here. They're mainly in France or in mainland Europe, aren't they? That's where most of them are. So, what do I think about this? I think PM is talking a lot of hoo-ha to try and make himself look good for what could be a potential May general election. We don't know that for certain, but that may or may not be the case in the future. We'll have to wait and see on that, obviously. But I just think it's just trying to paint a picture that they're cracking down on it, that they're making the difference on immigration, and they're not really. They really are not. To claim that they've cleared the backlog is nonsense whatsoever, because if it was, we wouldn't have so many people in barges and hotels, barracks and whatnot in other places. And like it said in the article there, guys, there have been some who've just simply gone off the radar. A lot of them have. Don't be surprised if we're talking hundreds, maybe up to 1,000 potentially, have gone under the radar because they tried to wipe them off the backlog to say, hey, we've cleared them all. Have you? Have you really? So what do you guys make of this? What do you think? Do you actually honestly believe the Prime Minister when he said he's cleared the backlog, guys? If you are, do you need help? No, I'm joking. It's your opinion and you're entitled to it. But what do you guys... No, honestly, guys, what do you honestly think? You know, these numbers, do they add up what the government is saying? Is there manipulation behind it? Do we even trust this government? Probably not. Do you think Labour would play with these numbers if it was them in power? Let me know what you guys honestly think in the comments section down below. Hit the like button, we greatly appreciate it. Share this across social media and hit that bell notification icon so you'll be notified when I upload another video. And if you want to financially support me, you can do so by joining YouTube membership for just 99p or getting exclusive content on Patreon. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.